Hello everyone, I hope you're well. Today I'm going to share with you 4 amazing summer reads. These are absolutely spectacular books. So I've got my little sassy summer floral necklace on and I'm going to get straight into it. The first one is one of my all-time favourite books. This is The Colour Purple by the genius that is Alice Walker. This is about a black girl growing up in the South. It's about the politics at the time, racism. Her name's Celie and she writes letters. So this is kind of reads like her diary, but her letters are addressed to God. So she's saying, why is this happening? But she's also just telling you about what is happening in her life at the time. So she was living with her dad and he was abusing her, her children get taken away and she ends up having to marry this man. And she gets separated from her sister Nettie. And she writes a lot of letters to Nettie within the book and she just wants to be reconnected with her sister. Her new husband is horrendous, his children don't like her and it's about how downtrodden she is and how she can't get out of her situation and she just has no self-worth. Then enter Shrug Avery, who is this absolutely fabulous, confident black woman who empowers Celie. They have a lesbian relationship and she just says to her, if you don't know your own worth, people are going to continue to treat you like crap. It's about empowerment of yourself and knowing your own worth. This is an amazing book. You should all read this. You should all own a copy of this. This is just stunning. And I've reread this many times and it stands up every single time you reread it. Every time. So many other memorable characters within the book. Loved this. Thought this was stunning, gorgeous, gorgeous book. So I love that. Alice Walker is one of my favourite authors. If you want to read anything else from her, Living by the Word is a fantastic short story collection. Or if you're into poetry, she's got one called Revolutionary Petunias, which is a just breathtaking poetry collection. Alice Walker, you all need to get some of her. Next up, another amazing book, is Harper Leaves to Kill a Mockingbird. It's about racism in the South of America again, but it's all told from a little white girl's point of view called Scout. Now, Scout, this is a coming out of age over the summer. She's a tomboy, and I like the bit when her aunt tries to turn her into a lady, and she's just like, nope, because she's very tomboy and adventurous. It's about her dad is a lawyer for a black man who's been accused of raping a white girl. Such a good book. I love also the race relation between, she has a cook and housemaid who is black and her aunt comes to live with them who's white and she doesn't like that this black woman's in the house and having so much to do with the children. I thought that was done really well in a really political sphere. It was fantastic. So I loved that. I haven't read, where is it? Go Set a Watchman. I haven't read it because I don't want to ruin the experience of that. Next up I have one that is set in South Africa and this is Disgrace by J.M.Coetzee, and this is about white people living in South Africa and the politics of that. So, and they're born in South Africa, so there's this man, he's a professor, he then has a relationship with one of his students very early on, that's not really what it's about, but he has a sexual relationship with this woman and that's it, he's lost his job. So he has to go and live with his daughter who owns a farm. So they're polar opposites. His daughter is very adventurous, she owns this farm, she's a very independent woman, and there's him, a very well educated person, but he doesn't really want to get rough and down and dirty. He'd rather just read books and do his studying. So they come together, this clash of worlds, and then his daughter gets attacked and it's about how people around think that they should own the land and they don't like white people in South Africa. It's basically like the revolt of that. And it's all told from his point of view and why he thinks that, and it's really moving. It is spectacularly done, and when she gets attacked that's done in such a subtle way, but you understand everything that's happened to her, but it's done in such a kind of beautiful, subtle way. It's amazing. I put tabs in this from like bits that I absolutely adored. Cannot recommend this enough. Very emotional read. And then last but not least is one set in France, but the people in it are English. This is by Edward St. Aubyn, and this is Never Mind. This is actually a book series, which I didn't realise. This is book 1 in the Patrick Melrose series. So it's about a little boy called Patrick. It all happens on one day, which is interesting to know. So one day in the evening they're going to have a dinner party. So his parents are getting ready for the dinner party. And there are different bits in the story that are told from different people, but you hear a lot from Patrick, the little boy. So the little boy's just playing in the garden, he's just living his life, having fun, and then it'll flip to like his parents getting ready for the dinner party, and then one of their guests getting ready to travel there. I love that there's a girl in this who's slightly younger than all the guests and she doesn't know them. She's a +1, and Patrick's dad is horrible. He's an arrogant, horrible man, and you find that out very early on, and she's the only one that kind of like stands up to him and is like, why is everyone letting him behave like this? This isn't right. And she actually, someone touches her under the dinner table. They're all there and someone inappropriately starts touching her leg, one of the men. And I thought that was done so well, because that's just stuff that can happen daily to people, and it's just about the confusion within her head. So she's thinking, what's happening? Oh, there's people here, and she's always like embarrassed even though she hasn't done anything. And the person who's doing it is a complete stranger to her at the table, and she's thinking like, what is he doing? I don't understand. His wife's here, like why is he doing it in front of her? And it's this panic that goes through her, and I thought that was done so well. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't over sensationalized, but it wasn't like played down. It was just so realistic and natural, her reactions to it. Something horrendous happens to the little boy in this, and you hear about it from his point of view, and let me warn you, it is horrendous. None of my books are like happy books, but it is horrendous. But this book is so moving. It genuinely is, and the way it changes narrative is so skillful. It's spectacular. The author of this, good old Edward St. Aubyn, is a genius, an absolute genius, the way he did this so well. I absolutely adored this, and the little boy's mum, and she's drinking too much, and it goes into that about her drinking. Loved this book, so good. So there are the 4 books, a rundown: The Colour Purple, To Kill a Mockingbird, Disgrace, and Nevermind. Absolutely love these. Tell me down below if you have read any of these. Someone tell me, have you read any more of the Patrick Melrose series? I don't know what to read on, because this was such a perfect book. I hope it's nice and hot and summery where you are, or you're going somewhere nice and hot and summery, and I will see you again soon for another video.